Hi everyone, welcome back to another Tayar podcast session. This episode we're going to be reviewing the music, or live performance should I say, of the Crollas, who we caught at King Tuts on Thursday the 23rd of January. Thanks to everybody who's listened to our 5 episodes now that we've released on SoundCloud. The last I checked, which was this evening, we're now at over 180 odd plays, so thanks to everybody who's listened to it. We really hope you enjoy the content, and if you've got anything, you can follow us on our Instagram page, which is at TR Podcasts, and leave us recommendations, or if there's anything you'd like to suggest, please feel free to send us a direct message. This gig was heavily indie rock, and I'm really sorry listeners, but indie rock is just not my genre. I've tried to experience it, I've tried to get into different bands, and it just doesn't tick my box. However, putting my personal judgment aside, we'll kick off tonight as the same I think as we done the last time. Neil, I'll take it over to you. What's the first band?
Okay, so we went and saw the Crollas, but it was a 4-band set. So the first band were the Neapolitan. Bunch of kids, yeah. They looked inexperienced. Not sure how many gigs they've done. They didn't sound like they'd been going long. They didn't gel very well. Lead singer needs some vocal work. He was very drony. I think they need a bit of hard work.
I would agree with that. To give them some credit, I definitely think their contemporaries certainly influenced their sound and their playing wise, but from my experience of it, I wasn't overly impressed. The songs just kind of fell apart at the end. They just ended. There was no
structure. Again, structure. We've mentioned this in previous podcasts. Bands, songs need structure.
Yeah.
You need a beginning, a middle, an end, a chorus.
Yeah.
You know, structure to their songs.
And there was nothing to the element of pizzazz with this band. I can't really say it was under rehearsed because all of them looked a bit nervous on stage. They weren't necessarily experienced to performing live.
Yeah.
You know, they clearly have a sense of a direction, or at least the lead singer, the lead singer slash main guitarist, he seemed to have a sense of direction. He seemed to know what he was trying to achieve, which is great. It's a great start.
Yeah. And with hard work, you can achieve almost anything. You see videos of U2 when they were a school band or whatever. They were terrible.
Yeah.
And they turned out to be one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah.
So with hard work, you can achieve anything.
Yeah.
Just that these guys need a lot of hard work.
I don't recall them making any statement as to say how long they'd been a band together or how many times they'd played. But their inexperience definitely showed. They certainly need to work on their songwriting abilities. My biggest worry is that a lot of the bands that we saw that night seemed to gravitate from a university or a student, like a higher student level. And if it's a case of, I'm wanting to be a part of a band, or I want to put a band together just so that I can look cool, then I feel that's the wrong reason to be in music. From my observation and from everybody that I've spoken to who's in bands, and this is going throughout the years at every level, they all want to do it because they're extremely passionate about music, and the reason why those bands work is because they truly respect the instrumentation level of each member in that band, and that includes the vocalists as well, but they all share a common goal, and they all sing from, if you will, the same hymn sheet. But the reason why I feel modern bands don't tend to work, for example Preston Miko, is because there's always sort of one identity who seems to have an authoritative figure, and if they don't like something, or if they want to change something, then that usually has a negative impact on the band, where it kind of ruptures the previous flow.
We move on to the second band,
right,
which was the Nautics. Now, they had a female singer.
They did.
She had a hell of a set of pipes on her, but again, the sound didn't really fill the place until they started doing a cover of the Cranberries' Zombie. The structure and the preciseness of that song shows me they can play the instruments.
Definitely.
And they can sing.
Definitely.
But their own music just, again, didn't seem structured enough to do what they want to do. They have the ability, they have the ability to sing, the ability to play their instruments, but the drummer struck me as a bit off at points, but you'll know more than that than I did. But they said that they were going for a
European thing.
A European.
They wanted support.
More ticket sales. The more tickets they sell, the chance they have to get a European tour in place.
And I think that's wrong. I think that's completely wrong.
Yeah, it should be based on the actual musical ability, not how many people you know.
It's almost like the European Song Contest, isn't it? It's not so much who's got the best quality, but it's more so who can claim the most sort of popularity votes. Yeah. And I feel that's so wrong for music. Fair enough, if you actually really just want to get up there with a couple of guys and go, look, I wrote songs with meaningless lyrics, but they're about flowers and unhappy relationships and kind of consider current events, then that's fine. But just as long as you're aware that it's nothing serious and it's something to pass your time with. Whereas we're looking at this from not necessarily as a music critic, but as a member of the audience as well. You have to understand, listeners, that Neil and I think out of all the performances, I think there's only two of the bands that we've actually known, and that was, for me, it was Spoke Too Soon because I'd seen them years ago, and it was also Bad Actress because we caught them at a previous gig as well. The rest of these bands are completely off the cuff. We've no idea, we don't do any research other than, when are they playing and let's go and see them. So
what did you think of the second band, the Nautics?
I really don't want to say it. I was bored, and I can honestly say that about the first two bands. Lumping them together, I honestly thought they were boring. Okay. The second band, the Nautics,
were better than the first band.
See, I can't even say that. Yeah, fair enough, there was a sense of a structure where they had the beginning, the middle and the end, but the drummer it was more of a showboating thing with the drummer, because he started acting big in the audience, and then when he got up on stage, there was just so many mistakes that he was doing. The singer as well, she could sing, but I don't feel that she was singing her true potential.
Oh yeah, she was singing to what they wanted, or the music wanted her to sing.
So
when she sung Zombie, I mean, you could feel the power in her voice.
So the best,
like unleashed.
The best song of their set absolutely was that cover. Yeah. It's not so much that their set was a disaster, but it did not have the same merit as their performance of that song. If they started that set with Zombie, or if they finished that set with Zombie,
be much more memorable.
Well, it is for me. I can't remember the rest of it because it just seemed like rubbish. But the only thing that I do remember about that is that cover blew me away. I thought that sounded like really, really, really tight.
The bass player, did you notice when he wasn't jumping on the front rail, he wasn't even facing the audience? 90% of his time was facing the drummer. He wasn't playing to the audience unless he was jumping on the rail.
See, I don't know what that means, because I'm not really bothered about that. That's another thing as well that I've thought about. A lot of people say, I'm going to see, I'm going to watch, I went to see. Music isn't perceived with your eyes, music's perceived with your ears. So, I'm going to the gig to listen to X should be what we should be saying. To me, it doesn't matter to me if the bass player was staring at the drummer or not. To me, it was all about the whole thing.
Right.
Unless the stage presence involved something that was sort of, you had to watch, you had to see it. If it was a visual experience, then that's completely different. But personally for me, it didn't matter which way it was. The best member of the Nautics was the guitarist. There's something about him that he's definitely honed his craft on that guitar. Like, he could play it. Okay, fair enough, the solos weren't exactly what I was expecting from him, but from a guitarist's role, he definitely knew his place in that band. And he was a great joy to watch.
So, that's the Neapolitan and the Nautics. Now, the third band, the Martells, absolutely blew the house down. They knocked it out the park. Never heard of them, never knew their existence.
No.
Came on, They were gelled, they were professional, the sound was clear and clean.
Yeah.
The lead singer, vocals.
Yeah.
You heard every word. The boys done well.
They were definitely much better than the first two bands that were on. Again, the sound wise, it was more sort of indie rock. I thought, I can't really say Oasis, but I definitely thought Noel Gallagher's Flying Birds sort of sound.
Check them out, guys.
Again,
the
Arctic
Martells.
Monkeys there as well. They gave us a flyer. I don't know if you've get yours.
Yes, yeah.
At the start of February, at the end of January, they've released a new song on Spotify. I felt that there was a bit of an ego boost there when they were, I felt that they were kind of bragging a bit. If they tone that down and just keep doing what they do, then yeah, they could be fantastic. I think what they're needing to do now is kind of maybe try and get more further south, maybe go to Leeds, maybe go to Newcastle, definitely hit strong uni towns without going all the way down to London, but look at like strong uni centres, so maybe even definitely Newcastle, maybe even Stirling, go and play a couple of gigs in Stirling. Kaiser
Chiefs type vibe on that. Which is Yorkshire, they're definitely good enough to get a much bigger following than they've got. And I wish them all the best. Good luck, guys.
They were a young indie rock band who definitely have potential.
Check them out. Now we move on to the highlight of the evening, the Crollas. This is your main headline band. They were 5 guys. No, they weren't 5 guys.
There were 4 guys and 1 girl.
Female bass player.
The bass, and she played it. She was fantastic.
They were all fantastic.
The Crollas were definitely the best band of the night, and I was so glad that I went to see them. They've been a band since 2021. They formed in about 2021, but they've only just started playing live.
Yes.
So they've spent a long time in that rehearsal room. We spoke to, I think it was the singer, whatever his name was, and the drummer, Alex. And both of them were telling us stories. It's taken them a long time to hone sort of their songwriting skills, not necessarily their sound, but they've had a lot of different people come in and go from that band, so I can understand the frustration it might have caused with them, but what they've got is fantastic. Out of all of those bands that we've seen on Thursday night, the Crollas are the ones that I definitely would go out my way to go and see again. Absolutely. And there's people that I'm going to recommend them to as well.
But if you want to go and see them now, because in the future, if you don't mind arena gigs, because they are going to be playing venues much bigger than your local, King Tuts. They're going to be in the O2 arenas and places like that in the future, in my personal opinion.
Right.
These guys, they've got a universally likeable sound.
Definitely.
And,
definitely.
like the Killers, they did a Killers track. They could easily in the future be as big as the Killers.
Well,
I mean, at the end, one of the last songs, there's 3 guitarists playing at the same time, as well as the drum and the bass, and these 3 guitarists are bouncing off each other. The music that's coming out reminds me of something like Fleetwood Mac's The Chain. And the 3 guitarists playing together, but not against each other.
No.
They played together, they were harmonious, and they understood the music that they've written. And I really thought, I went down the front and I was standing watching them. They were 5 pieces of a symbiotic unit, and they worked together really well.
Everybody complimented everyone, and I really liked the voice of the vocalist as well. I thought his approach, sort of most indie rock bands that you go and listen to, they have that kind of, it's not necessarily a dictatorial, but it's a very dominant voice, and it's the kind of shout or the way they present the vocal lines. It's a very sharp cutting edge, whereas this guy, I feel he was a bit more like Morrissey in a sense, where it was more rounded. I mean, he stood out. The vocals cut through the instruments very, very well.
Very well. He had stage presence. He spoke to the audience. Yeah, it was
They
well put together.
They introduced 2 women on stage as well.
Oh
who
yeah,
guest sung on a track as well.
Backing singers, yeah.
Which was really interesting because I don't think we've ever seen that.
No,
before.
friends to give the
yeah.
You know, but those girls sing as well, so you know they'll be out there somewhere.
It's just unfortunate that at the gig they actually didn't really have any merch. There was none of the bands that we've seen on Thursday who were actually selling merch. However, it would have been great to have got... Well, I believe that they're in the studio just now. They've sent us... We've been in touch with them and they've been able to send us 1 song. However, we're aware as well that they're going into the studio and they're planning on... I think it was just a couple of EPs they were planning on doing, wasn't it?
Well, get them done, guys. We need copies, you know. I'll pay you. I've already paid money to go and see them, but I'll pay money for...
Oh, thank you, Neil. Yes.
Oh, no. It's,
thank you.
I'll pay money to buy your music. I don't want to stream it. We know our opinion on Spotify if you've listened to any of the previous podcasts, but I want to buy your CD, so get one made.
Yeah, as I've admitted before, indie rock is not my thing, but these guys, without a doubt in my opinion, they were definitely the best band of the night. However, if I can say, in a generalisation, I was actually disappointed with the quality of the music that we heard that night. For me, being in Glasgow previously and seeing bands in Glasgow previously, they've been very, very tight, very professional sounding, very acute. I mean, when we seen the Rarely Social, I thought that they had a very refined performance.
Great vibe to them. Great vibe.
But with the 2 opening acts that we seen at King Tuts, I felt that they were
no vibe.
They were certainly not at the same par as what they should be. The Martells, as soon as the Martells were playing, yes.
Big smile on my face. Yeah, they made me happy.
Here we go.
They made me happy.
Yeah, I thought this is the sound that I came to Glasgow to see. And then the Crollas were just by far the best band of the night. I mean, they looked, everything about them just seemed professional. Now let's go into talking about the venue there, Neil. King Tuts, that was your first time, I believe, yeah?
Yes, I mean King Tuts Wawa Hut has been around for an awful long time, but never been in, never before. So it's a basement bar. Walked in, didn't expect to see a bar there.
Nope.
So you walk in and then you go through the bar to the back, and there's
2 people to greet you.
To give you a wristband.
Aye.
And then you go up the stairs and you've got another small bar to the left, and then you go through to the right to the room. Now that room is about a quarter of the size that I thought it was going to be.
Aye, it is a tiny venue.
I mean, compared to when we were in Dundee,
at Beat Generator.
Beat Generator was 4 or 5 times the size of that.
Yeah, it's almost like, remember Block Plus?
Yeah.
When we seen Spoke Too Soon. It's almost like if you think of the area which they performed at, it's almost double the size of that, isn't it?
I mean, that was just a level up on a pub. I mean, that is...
Yeah.
There was not even a stage, it was just some
amps
and bits and pieces. We were all in the floor together, where, you know, King Tuts.
It's an actual
listening
great,
to
I love going there.
Yeah. Listening to the first couple of bands, I thought, oh my god, I mean, is this sound system as bad as I think it is? And then the Martells came on, blew it out the park, and you realise that it wasn't the sound system.
There's many elements to being a professional act, and you know, it's not always about looking good or playing good, but it's also sounding good as well. And a lot of people don't actually take the time to sit and tweak the volume, not necessarily the volume level, but certainly the EQ levels, and even going down to what instrument cables that they use. Everything can make that slight bit difference, and you know, having a good engineer as well.
If Els Bailey had played in King Tuts,
there you go,
we would not have had the issues we did at the
Cab
Vol in Edinburgh. You know, it's about the same size, just turned on its side. So Cab Vol was long and thin, where this was wide and short.
Oh, no way, man. Cab Vol was like 2 rooms. If you took that King Tuts room, you'd have to double that area in itself.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Because if you think about it, Wells Bailey, there was her, there was Demi on guitar, but then there was another guitarist who kind of stood behind Demi.
They were all crushed into a tiny little stage.
Yeah, then you had the drum kit as well.
The stage
then you
was
had
double the size.
You had
King
2
Tuts.
keyboards, because you had Ellis went up to play keyboard at one point as well, and then you had the bass player Matthew at the back. It was quite a cramped setup, but even still at that, right? King Tuts, I like that venue. I do like that venue.
Yeah.
I don't think they charge too much for admission, but the mountains and mountains of artists that have played unsigned gigs in that venue, and that venue has helped in some unbeknownst way for those artists to get further up the ladder is brilliant. And absolutely brilliant.
My second highlight of the evening, after the music, was when I was walking out and I saw a Ned's Atomic Dustbin sticker on the door.
On the door.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on the door.
Love a bit of Ned's.
Yeah.
Got to love a bit of Ned's.
Yeah. You still need to let me listen to them. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Neil?
Just everybody, thanks for listening. I mean, you're doing us a solid by listening. All we want to do is, give our honest opinion of live music that we go and see. Hopefully even seeing some of you who come to listen at future gigs.
Right, well, thank you very much for everyone. I'd also like to thank the bands that played that night. Unfortunately, the Neapolitans and the Nautics. If you do listen to this podcast, please consider what we say and don't take it negatively. Spend more time rehearsing your set and your songs, and developing your skills at songwriting and performing, because you've definitely got the potential. The Martells, absolutely fantastic. Definitely keep writing fantastic songs. I think you're definitely in the right market for indie rock. I think you'll go far. Lastly, the Crollas, watching you was an absolute joy. Your music that you do, listening to it, was it sounded really, really good. So it sounds like you've spent a lot of time working things out and finding the right members. Most importantly, finding those right members. I certainly look forward to seeing you perform again. Yeah, listeners, thank you so much. We always appreciate any feedback that you'd like to give us. So as I say, you can reach out to us on our Instagram page, which is at Tayar Podcasts, all one word. Neil and I, which he's never actually said anything, would like to thank our friend Scott. Scott has kindly helped us out by making us t-shirts with the Tayar Podcast logo on it, so we now can officially represent ourselves at gigs, which Neil and I are both excited about. So thanks to Scott and his t-shirt printing side called Common Ground Studios. The guy's based in Edinburgh, so if you've got any queries, we'll tag a link in the description. Make sure that you check him out. We'll be back with another TR podcast. Thank you.
Don't look up, look at the ground. Focus on your feet and we'll be set.